Alright guys, so this is the first video in a set that will be about reading tips, and I'll probably have another one that's about listening tips, just about random things. So if you want more tips, please subscribe. So when we first start, um, we're not really sure what to read because obviously there is a ridiculous amount of stuff and you want something that's slightly easier. So when you're first beginning, you want to mainly you'll be reading the grammar book. So I'd suggest just go through the grammar books as quickly as possible, and then you get your reading done there, and then you can start moving on to more detailed content that's like actually reading, and so it's got so the sentences in the grammar books are okay, but there's no overarching story. There's no repetition of like objects or people's names and stuff like that. So it can be hard to remember all these random words that are just like single sentences. So the first book I want to show you a set of books and also like where you can go to just read anything because I presume that some people are a bit higher level. So the quicker you get into reading, the I think the better you will be overall. So the first one is this Talk to Me in Korean one, which is very simple, almost too simple for the price, and it's just about worth the price in terms of how much content you get. So I think it's 30 of these little stories, but they're really short, but it's pretty good for picking up words really early on. So this one is pretty good for starting with, and I think it's only $10 for the Kindle edition, and I think it's 15 for the book. But this is pretty good to start with, although it's not going to get you. You're not going to get extremely far with it. So another one that I want to recommend is this Yonsei reading, which is extremely good, and until you get to about 4 or 5. So it goes. One is very simple, and then two gets like slightly longer, and then three is like almost like full paragraphs, which is basically once you've got to that point, you can then just move on to like any kind of native content because it mostly just covers like that level of content, and then the 4, 5, and 6 doesn't really get much more difficult. It's just more content, but you can just replace that with just native content. So I would show you a preview of this, and I would also kind of not suggest buying it because it's so ridiculously expensive, and I wish that it was more accessible because it's one of the best graded readers that you can have for Korean. So what I will do is I will tell you that you can find this elsewhere if you search it, but I didn't tell you that. And then I could not find a preview of anything, so I will just show you a quick preview of this. So this is the 6th chapter, and this is how short they are. So you can literally be using this as soon as you finish the grammar. Just rush the grammar in like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you can move on to this. And it's so simple. Like there's such simple sentences for the first one. You could probably start reading this in the first week, and then you've got some of the important words underneath, and then that's really good. And then they start getting longer and longer. You've got all sorts of other things in there like questions and stuff. But personally, I would kind of just ignore them and just make sure you're reading these. And it probably won't take you that long to get through because they're not that long. And then you don't really want to remember every single word because some of them are really specific, like food or some food that you're probably not going to see for a long time. So I wouldn't worry too much about remembering the words, but it's really good for getting your foot in the door for reading. So another really good one is this Ollie Richards one. It says intermediate for intermediate learners, but it is very simple. You could probably use this one very early on, and the reason it's so good is because it's really long and it's really simple. So it's just lots of really long, simple paragraphs, and it's got lots of highlighted words, really common words. Pretty much every single word in here you will like know within 2 years anyway. You will know pretty much every single word within here in 2 years. So you might as well just get started on this. Obviously you have to pay for this one, but it's kind of cheap, $8.15 and $10 for the almost $11 for the paperback. So this is one of the cheapest options of just getting straight into reading, and it's really good. It comes with audio, but I've never actually listened to it. I might do that afterwards actually and see how it is. But you don't need the audio; you can just use the book. But this one is really good, and I highly recommend it. So that's all the things that you could start with, like very simple things that you could start with. There's not really anything else that would be this simple, uh, as simple as any of these ones. But then what you can do is, so if you want to just read anything, like you don't have to just read simple stuff. So say it might take a bit longer because you'll know like 0 words. So what you want to do is go on to something like Ridibooks. So this is one option, and then there is all sorts of genres. So we've got all the genres, and then we've got you've even got a section for free books, and then you'll have tons and tons of, this is just free content that you can read anything. Obviously, this is going to be a lot harder to just start with, or what you can do is you can read blogs, and these are slightly easier actually, but there is a lot of slang in them, and a lot of the words might not even come up in the dictionary because it'll just be like a made up word. So these are really simple to read, and there's a bunch of different genres and everything. So it's really good to get into reading through this. So I don't know why it opens in a new page, but so they're quite simple. It's just simple text. So, and then there's videos and whatever. Like people have all sorts of things. It's just regular people stuff, blogs and everything. And then some of them are really long, some of them are kind of short. You can, if you're interested in something specifically, you can look at a review for it, or you can look at it in general. So you've got all sorts of things here, food as well. There's food places that you can review. So that's really good for that. And then there's also news, which is completely free. So a lot of this stuff you can get into for free, but it's a lot harder to get into straight away. So that is why I recommend the first 3 books, the ones that are on the thumbnail. Well, not just the first 3, but this Yonsei reading, the entire series, well, up to 3 or 4, that'll get you into native content. So ideally you want to build up because it'd be easier to do it. So starting from easier content and building up, you'll get the repetition of the easy words, and then you'll remember them, and then you'll be able to move on to harder content and harder content. But you will be forever reading because there will always be words that you don't know. Like pretty much for as long as you read, even in your native language, you'll have words that you don't know. So that's about everything. And if you want more tips, please subscribe and leave a comment. If there's anything you would specifically want to know, please leave a comment and I'll answer any questions. Thank you.